This is the quickest way, I've done it loads of times, of getting tens of millions of views extra every 90 days by just... In my YouTube career, I've amassed over 500 million views, and that was in about 3 years, mostly working for 2 YouTube channels, Driver61 and OVERDRIVE. And through that time, I learned a load about YouTube. And this morning, I've written down 15 things I learned that I'm going to share with you today as concisely as possible. Download these to your brain and use it to apply it to your YouTube channel. Let me know how you get on down in the comments. In case you're new here, I'm Callum, I'm a YouTube strategist. That's my day job, but on my lunch breaks, I like to get outside. And what's the lowest effort way of me sharing value for free on YouTube? And it's doing something like this. Let's get into number 1. Idea is everything. You can get into titles, thumbnails, strategy, retention tactics, all of that. But if you are built on the fundamentals, on the foundations of a bad idea, your video will not succeed. It all comes down to the idea. So you need to absolutely hyper focus on your ideation and how you create them for your channel. Number 2. Thumbnail and title above all else. What I mean by this is lots of creators naturally start with the logistics of the problem. What am I going to make a video about? I could go there and do this. I could do this for a video. I could talk about this for a video. They start content first, and that is a trap. With any channel I work with, I will always try and flip this on its head. Don't talk to me about content first, talk to me about the title and the thumbnail first, and then go into what will work. Because yes, you might have something that could resemble a video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to watch it. But if you've got a title and a thumbnail, you can almost always create content to fit that. So start with the title first and always speak title first. Hey, I've got an idea, it's this. And tell them what the title would be, world's smallest versus world's biggest car, or something like that, rather than we could assemble this and this and do that. Number 3 is about time split. I want you to think about this as a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 split between production, editing, and packaging. What most people do is spend 80% of their time making the video, whether it's shooting or editing or just the bare bones bit of editing, and don't spend that extra time to focus on how they can make that video better, either in the edit or how they can get more people to click on it with the packaging. Reverse that. Think about it 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and that will get you closer to focusing on the right things. What this really does is puts more time into packaging and tailoring the edit, because that's absolutely what you should be doing. Number 4, this is a trap loads of content creators fall into, and it's one of the most important things to how long you can stay in the game. It's about strategizing your monetization early. I know a lot of creators who have got themselves in a trap in that they only rely on YouTube AdSense. There's no baseline revenue coming in to support them. I'm not saying you have to get that done from day one, but it's have a think from the early stages about what your product is going to be, what your monetization is going to be. Fair enough, if you're attracting millions and millions of views and it's tough to monetize in your space, yes, you could rely on that. But I think for almost all creators, 99%, you should think on what your product is going to be, what your service is going to be, what your community is going to be, all of those things early on so that you can aim at it. You can sow the seeds along the way that then make, when you release that first thing, way more powerful. 5, constantly reevaluate your value proposition. You might be making videos and over time there's slow creep towards, okay, that bit's funny, or this bit's good, or we want to make more of that, and you start to drift away from your value proposition. This is a mistake I've made in the past, and we learnt it the hard way. You need to make sure you are constantly reevaluating what is your value to the viewer, and can you double down on it? At the very least, don't stray from it. If you're thinking about a new packaging format, if you're thinking about a new video format, a new playlist, a new series of content, make sure it still attracts the same viewers and provides them the same value. Otherwise, it might be really exciting to you and something you really want to do, but if you're not offering value, it will not do well. Those are fundamentals of YouTube. Number 6 is about 60 seconds. How do you retain viewers? Lots of people have got to step 1 in retention, which is have a payoff and make sure it's towards the end. Lots of rookie creators will offer all of their payoff early on and then get more and more in the weeds, more and more in the weeds, and then their retention just drops off. They have a hump at the beginning and then nothing, and it dies to nothing. Level 2 creators will move that to the end, and that brings your retention up. Top level creators will make sure there is a payoff every 60 seconds at least. If you have a script, Break it down into chunks. Make sure at the end of those chunks you have a payoff or something that is rewarding to your viewer. That will help you get to that next level, the 55, 60, 65% retentions. 7 is about hiring. The most difficult people to hire are writers. My order here is that you should probably hire, for most channels, editors, then thumbnail designers, then writers, because they are the order of difficulty. Your first thing should be editing. It's a massive time suck. And so unless you're really crafting your edit and that is really what makes you different, which is fewer channels than think that's the case, hire an editor first to get rid of that time. Next is thumbnails. You can do this, but again, once you've got your strategy down, once you've got, this is what my channel thumbnails look like, you can pass that over to a thumbnail designer. Writing is the hardest thing. To get that in your voice, to get that really right takes time. Even if you hire some of the best YouTube writers, it will take them time to adopt your voice. You can tell this isn't in any specific order because number 8 is about launching a channel. How do you do this best? I get this asked all the time. My condensed speech on that is create 3 videos, link the end cards to each other, make sure you have a hard sell to watch the next video on each and create a little loop between the 3, and do not promote your channel for the first 24 to 48 hours. Let YouTube figure it out. Let it go and find natural viewers. Before you give it just that little stimuli, share it on social media to your core fans if you can. If you have an email list, share it to them first. Then if you have a private community, share it to them first, whether it's Discord or something like that. You're thinking about the core audience, the ones you can guarantee will watch the full video all the way through. Don't share it to your family because they say they will, but they won't. And then work your way up over time. Over the next few days, share it to Instagram, then Twitter. Just give it that little bit of external input. That's because YouTube doesn't understand external traffic that well. They're likely not logged in. They're in that crappy Safari player on your iPhone or something, and they're not on the app. You're trying to drip feed it the right people. Think about it that way. Number 9 is about niches. One thing I've learned, I've done both, but education niches are easier to monetize and easier to grow than entertainment niches. Entertainment often have the highest upside because you're personality driven, it can appeal to more people often rather than educational niches. But if this is your first go at it, you're trying to create a channel, I would weigh education niches above entertainment. Just bear that in mind. Number 10, negative takes always win. We deliberately created a series on Overdrive called Kinda Sucks, and we talk about things that kinda suck in the automotive niche, whether it is new innovations, new technologies, different things, and that really, really paid off from the first video. Think about, if you haven't got a bucket that is specifically around negative takes, think about it. Now, all that has to be negative is the thumbnail and title. Remember, you can be much more reasoned in the video and provide a more balanced take. But if your thumbnail and title are negative, you'll likely do better than the positive equivalent. Think of it that way. 11, get very, very used to repeating yourself. Remember on your channel, you can look at this in analytics, but remember on your channel that very few of your viewers have seen any of your videos previously, let alone 5 videos back where you feel like you're repeating yourself from. So get prepared to repeat yourself. You likely only have a few different spiels about your thing. You're gonna need to say them over and over again. And just think of it this way, every time you're talking to a new viewer. 12, we learnt this on a Formula 1 channel. There is different upsides and downsides to timely content, stuff that's going on right now, referring to product launches, sports events, any events really, news stuff. Those videos perform in one way. They often get a spike early on. You can often hit the trending page with those much easier, and then they will tail off once that news is no longer timely or no longer newsworthy. Then the second type is evergreen. Those videos often take off slower, but then can reach a higher number because they will carry on forever. You will often get these steps in the view graph that go up like that. I would propose a strategy that weaves in both. Whenever there's a big event in your niche going on, use it. We did this on a motorsport channel using NASCAR at Le Mans, massive news event. That video did incredibly well, but actually we tailored it very well so that it would still be evergreen. Number 13, you never get away with copyright. Make sure you are squeaky clean on what fair use is in your country and how you're using it in your content. I know loads of channels that use footage from different sports events, different news events, and are very close to the line on fair use. you never get away with it. As soon as you make that video, you're hoping it's going to be up on your channel forever. If any of the people that you're using their content from change their policies, they can always go back and remove your video. If you get a copyright strike, you only get 3, just don't risk it. Make sure you are squeaky clean on copyright, you never get away with it. Number 14, this is a massive step up. If you think of it this way, this is some of the easiest ways you can get more views to your channel and reignite older videos. Never stop repackaging. Look at some of your older videos. Are some of them underperforming for what you think you should do? Look at ones over 90 days ago, because likely, if you're still on your way up, your packaging will get much better as you go along. Then when you look at an old video, you could have a much better go at it. If you have a couple of hours spare and you want to make the number go up on your channel, this is the easiest way to do it. Go back, pick an old video, repackage it, spice up the title, spice up the thumbnail, get the two working together well, and leave it. This is the quickest way, I've done it loads of times, of getting tens of millions of views extra every 90 days by just going back and repackaging old videos. It's the easiest way to move the needle. 15th and final one. First of all, before I get to it, I'd love it if you subscribe. I'm trying to give away as much value for free. If you subscribe, I promise I'll make it worth your while. 15. There is a natural tendency every video you make on a channel to work your way up. Obviously, as you get more budget, you get more into it, you're making better videos, you can likely do better things. You get invited to more stuff, different events, different opportunities come up, and you work your way up. Every video you think is getting a bit better. It also likely gets a tiny bit more extreme. Lots of creators go past that tipping point and forget that there's a trade-off. That the more extreme you get, the less relatable you are. Don't go too far. Make sure you are still tying in your initial audience who might like you. People do this all the time with gaming. In the niche I pay attention to, motorsport, sim racing creators will go all the way up. They'll get invited to different events, they'll get sponsored by different people, and then they move into real life racing. And then there's a moment where they start to leave behind the people that like sim racing because it's relatable, they can do it at home. And they leave them behind, and those motorsport videos often do way worse. And it's because the more extreme they've got less relatable, and often that means there's less value in it for the viewer. See you next time.